Okay, we're going to go over some set 2 problems for lesson number 5, and we begin in set 2, problem number 4. I'm just going to go over in general the methodology that you're going to be using to solve some of these problems. We have here the diagram, and it says here that the diagrams below are of balanced scale. The open circles represent positive numbers and the solid circle represent negative numbers, and we're familiar with that. And obviously if we were to write an equation, instead of adding circles we would be subtracting. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and go through each of those steps on your set 3 problem. I'm not going to go over these. You've already done this. We've done this quite a bit already. Let's move on to number 5. Make drawings like those in exercise 4 to illustrate how each of the following equations might be solved. Okay, so what you want to do is do the drawings, but also it says how each of the following equations might be solved. You're going to have to go through and solve it using the figures. Okay, so use the drawings and solve it. Okay, what box, one box would equal to what. Okay, so it's not just simply drawing the first, let's say the first illustration. You need to solve it. Now also number 6, now it says solve the following equations for x, showing each step on a separate line, and check your answers. So we're basically told 3 things here. We're told to solve the following equations for x. So we know we have to know that x is equal to is something that we decided because we figured this out correctly. But we're also to show each step. In other words, we don't want you to just jump over and tell me what x is equal to because you did this in your brain. It's very important that you show your work. If we go into, let's say, one of these problems here, let's go with C. 5x minus 3 is equal to 8x, so 5x minus 3 is equal to 8x. Okay, so showing your work on each line is going to be very important. One of the other things is that math is very visual. As you solve problems, you're actually learning your math. As you do math, you learn math. And seeing the results, seeing the numbers and the variables in front of you is extremely important. So try not to just do this in your brain. It generally leads to mistakes. We tend to not see things in our brain. We think we have the answer, and in the end we find out, oh, I should have used a negative and a positive, and so it's a lot harder for our brain. Now, you know, there's some people that can do that. Some people can carry a lot of information in their brain, and I'm not sure if any of you are. I just simply don't recommend it at this stage of your math life because you really need to be accurate. You need to see how these variables and these equations within the variables interact, and particularly what's going on each side of the equal sign. So over here I would subtract 5x. That would have been the first thing. Right, subtracting 5x, and again you can put your little equal sign. Negative 5x is equal to negative 5x. Well, I'm subtracting it from each side, or I'm subtracting 5x. So what would that give me here? Well, that will give me no x's, but I would have a negative 3, and over here I would have 3x. My next step would be to divide by 3, right, and that would give me negative 1. Negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1, and this would be x. So x is equal to negative 1. Now, we're to check our answers by plugging in our value. 5 times negative 1 minus 3 is equal to, excuse me, let me write that without the parentheses. 8 times negative 1. So now we have negative 5 minus 3 is equal to negative 8, and we know that negative 5 minus 3 is like adding. If we were to, let's go ahead and just show how we learned that before, we could say negative 5 plus negative 3, right? And if we did that, we know that would be equal to negative 8, and that would be our answer, or at least that would show you that the answer is correct. X is equal to negative 1. Okay, so it's very important you show your work, because as you do your work, if you were to come here and find that your answer did not check out, you can go back here and just take a quick look to see what you may have done on your problem. Now, in problems number 7, solve the following equations for x. Start by doing the operations required to remove the parentheses and show each step on a separate line and check your answers. All they've done here is they've added parentheses, distributive rule, knowing how to handle the parentheses. So that's really the only added extra challenge. And then lastly, we're to solve the following equations for x and express your answers to the nearest tenth. So we've learned approximations. We knew that we can end up with an irrational number or a very long decimal, and so we want to express the value to the nearest tenth. Make sure you round properly. So that's it for lesson number 5.